Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 32 of the In From Japan podcast, the podcast where we talk about the latest news on Japan-developed games and other things in relation to them. Available on Spotify, Podbean, and YouTube. I'm your host, Arrow Moss, as always, and with me, returning is my co-host, my usual co-host, the phenomenon from Suriname, Jason Corder.
Hey.
And we're gonna get into the games the Japanese games we've been playing just to start, like we usually do. So I have been playing the Fairy Tail game.
Ooh, and
it's surprisingly good.
Uh-huh.
I mean, for like a licensed anime RPG. So I have my notes here. So it's like, it's kind of a typical it's kind of a bit of a typical RPG in the sense that it has, the HP and the MP and the attacks and magic attacks and but so what's interesting is certain magic attacks will let you certain magic attacks will give you the ability to counter when the enemy attacks you, like a timed button press. And then you also can, as you attack, you build up the fairy gauge, which allows you to use a magic chain attack, which is just you keep upping the combo. And you have to do it in a limited amount of time. Like, you have to press the button because you have you unlock different chains eventually. You have chain 1, chain 2, and I think chain 3 and chain 4, which I don't have yet. But like whatever attack that corresponds to. And you just kind of have to keep doing it with the time and try to not miss it to get the most damage. That's actually really fun. And then sometimes with those magic chains, you have a chance to, instead of your finisher, you have a chance to do extreme magic, which is kind of like a summon almost. Because you can get another character in to do like super powerful magic.
Okay. The way it sounds to me, it's like a mix of Grandia's battle system with some of the Tales series battle system with regards to
there's also for the enemies, it's also a grid. There's a grid. I think it's 3 by there's like a grid, but it's not. I mean, obviously you do have to think a little bit, but it's not like a
tactical RPG
super complex grid system or anything.
It's more of to see how the attack you're going to use is going to affect the enemies. And
it's a nice extra mechanic. Because they could have just gone like super basic RPG, but they put a lot more care into it than you might expect. And the thing is, like, with gameplay, I think is great. The one thing is, you do have to be a fan of the show before starting it, because the story is so far into the series, and then it has little summaries of some of the past arcs, but they're not
as
very detailed. Yeah. And that's when I understand the people who knock it for that. But otherwise, like, if you're a fan of Fairy Tail, I definitely don't think you should write this game off.
Okay. How?
Because I think it's pretty well done.
How has your experience been then? Have you finished the manga or the anime, or have?
I finished the manga when it first ended a while back.
So you do have that familiarity.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he has a sequel manga, actually, The 100-Year Quest, which I actually was reading about, and conceptually it actually sounded pretty interesting to me, at least in the arc that one's in now. He's also working on a science fiction
Eden's
manga
Eden
as well.
Zero. It's
which continues the tradition of taking like a mascot from the last series and putting him in because Happy is in that.
I know.
It's weird, kind of like how Plu from Rave Master is in Fairy Tail. That's silly.
With regards to the story, the game starts somewhere after chapter 200 of the manga. So it starts during
like right at the end of the Tenru Island arc.
That's
Well, no, the tutorial. I guess I should say, like, the tutorial is the Tenru Island arc, and then once you actually get into the gameplay, it's the like preparing for the Grand Magic Games, and there's the Grand Magic Games arc, which I'm in right now.
Yeah, that's
and then it just does the Tartarus arc.
That's way past chapter 200. So, for anyone starting this fresh, maybe don't. Maybe familiarize yourself.
This is definitely a game for the fans.
Yeah, familiarize yourself with the anime at least, because that's a bit more streamlined. Unless you're a very quick reader like me.
No, with the manga, you definitely want to read the manga. The anime would take longer, and there's filler.
I mean, that's why you have guides, right? You can cut out the filler and have an easier time to parse through the material.
Although there is one filler arc that's apparently hilarious, which I haven't seen. I forgot what it was called though.
No. Well, I'm on chapter 100, the Fairy Tail Guild Civil War. So I'm making.
Oh, you're on the 4th. Yeah. Okay. So like the 4th season.
Yeah, it's like
it's called the Fighting Festival.
Yeah,
arc.
It's kind of I think it's around volume 12. So I'm making my way slowly towards where the game starts. And once I'm comfortable enough with my knowledge of the series again, I'll dip into it.
Are you enjoying it at least?
The manga? Yeah. I've been a fan of Fairy Tail for a long time. I tried the anime because I dropped off the manga. I don't know when. I think after Wendy's introduction. And
the Oración Seis.
Yeah, Oración Seis arc. And then I tried getting back into it with the anime because I figured, okay, it's gonna be a lot quicker with the anime. Then I dropped off that. And not too long ago, I like to say around January or February, there was this sale on Humble Bundle for the Fairy Tail's entire series and the other works by Hiro Mashima. And I just couldn't pass up that deal, so now I'm just chipping away.
Wait, so you have all of Rave Master as well?
Yeah, I have all of Rave Master, all of Fairy Tail. All of Eden Zero up to where it was I think, where was it? I think chapter 50 or so. And some of the other supplementary works by Hiro Mashima. I don't think I have the Monster Hunter manga he made.
Oh, I forgot he did that. Yeah, so moving on to going back to gameplay stuff, there's also like your character rank, which improves your magic chain because you get points from doing like quests and stuff, and then you can increase character rank, which will increase their magic chain rank or like some skill, some passive skill. And then you improve your guild features, which helps increase like everybody's health like by a small percentage, or the experience, the people that the percentage of experience the people that aren't in your party
get. It kind of sounds like Persona, like where the social links and other activities.
In a way, it does it differently. Okay. Because it's not the character stories that you do to unlock some character. Like for some, it's unlocking characters, and then some they're already unlocked. It just improves their relationship. It's not as
deep.
Like the stories don't go in like a certain. You know how in Persona the stories have a certain arc to them? It's more like these one-off stories like, oh, and these two characters went to go do this quest, and then they came back. Then you do that and you come back, and it wasn't like you do have interactions, but it's not as like, I don't want to say deep, but it's not as
it's kind of
it's not really an ongoing
thing. Kind of just a fun distraction.
That's helpful. That does help a little bit. Yeah. You can also duel characters. So so you can have them join your party. Like as soon as I could duel Gagio, I was like, "Yep, doing that." And then he's my avatar now.
Okay.
And then it shows like the level, and so I was like, so I'm like level 21. Mira Jane is level 42, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna see what happens, and then I died in one hit.
Oh wow.
I was just curious. I'm like, I wonder how. I'll get Mira Jane on my team because I want Gagio, Mira Jane, Jalal, and Loxus. That's probably most of Fairy Tail Team B. Sorry, spoilers.
Okay. Well, there you go. Are you at least enjoying the story then?
Also, I mean, I already know the story. It's just kind of like the only thing that's not great is like they have to change certain things just because they don't have the character models to show everything.
Yeah, I saw a video of that.
It just kind of sometimes it's kind of lacking.
Yeah,
when it's telling the story.
It was so weird to see that. Like they didn't have anything at all. It's just weird.
But like I actually get pretty pleasantly surprised when there are like character models of characters that aren't playable, but you do fight against them. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. The most annoying thing to me is when they do their little victory thing after a battle. There aren't any subtitles. And it really annoys me.
But it's kind of like a victory cheer. It's kind of inconsequential to the larger story, isn't it? Like, can't you?
No, but I would like to know what they're saying.
Just fill in the blanks for yourself. Like, we won? Question?
I'm getting really fired up now.
Yeah, exactly.
Whenever Natsu wins.
So, I mean, it's not that bad.
I don't know. But moving on, did you also know that Hiro Mashima is a huge Final Fantasy fan?
Did I know that? I know he's a big gamer. I didn't know about Final Fantasy though.
Well, he's a huge Final Fantasy fan. He beat like Final Fantasy VII Remake in like 3 days.
Okay. That's amazing.
But he did an illustration recently for Final Fantasy XIV.
Oh, that's cool.
At an art thing that we'll talk about a little later. But
wait, did you know?
Yeah, so I've also been playing Final Fantasy XIV.
Wait, real quick.
That was my segue.
Did you know about the mangaka from Yu Yu Hakusho? How he's a big fan of Dragon Quest.
He plays Final Fantasy?
No, he's a big fan of Dragon Quest.
Oh.
Like the running gag is that whenever a new Dragon Quest game is set to be released, the fans will be like, "Oh, okay, the manga's is going on hiatus now." Like he's busy with Hunter x Hunter, and that's been going
for
on
like
forever.
Hunter.
And fans are just like, "Okay."
But he also got super sick.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Wasn't his? Yeah.
But whenever new Dragon Quest pops out,
But when he's not sick and he's on hiatus, it might be because of Dragon Quest.
It's definitely that, yeah.
But what I was saying was I also been playing Final Fantasy XIV again because of the recent update. You can fly now. Well, in the base game, you can just, if you have a mountain that can fly, you can fly.
Yeah.
Which is really fun. It's really annoying, though, because in the expansion, you have to do this thing. You have to either find Aether Currents or do quests to find them to allow yourself to fly in each area of the expansions. And that's... I really wish they took that out.
Oh, why is that?
It's just really annoying.
Okay. Have you...
I'm just still getting through the story and trying to level up my Dark Knight. So I'm not, like... I don't have that much to say about it.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm not even in the current. I'm not like at the end of Shadowbringers yet. I'm still at like the beginning of Heavensward.
Oh, at the beginning of Heavensward? Like, have you met that?
Or at least like towards the beginning of Heavensward. I think I have a while, but it's not like I'm not at the very, very beginning, but I'm not that close to the end. Like, I'm not in the middle either, I feel like. I don't know.
You're somewhere.
I don't know how long it's going to take. Yeah, I'm somewhere.
I mean, I
have to go fight a giant flying whale at some point.
Oh, there's something you don't hear every day.
But yeah. So, what have you been playing?
Well, I would have been playing Final Fantasy XIV today, but I ran into login issues again. And this isn't even...
Oh, no.
This isn't even on my main account, which has had the problem since forever. But this is on my dummy account. The second one I made specifically to make use of the free trial last time around. So I figured, okay, the free trial has been extended, so now you can play A Realm Reborn and Heavensward. Is that right? Or Stormblood? Which is? Yeah, Heavensward.
No, it's Heavensward.
Okay, so those two games you can play for free now. Well, to a certain extent, but the free trial has been extended, and I thought, okay, I'll dive back in. Little did I know there would be a pop-up saying, "Are you sure you registered this account? Because it doesn't seem to be registered. Log in to see what your activation is or whatever." So I did that. I checked my Mock Station credentials and everything seems to be fine. So I'll have to check it out again, which is super frustrating because I don't want to buy this game a third time just to play it, which is madness.
Yeah, no, the biggest criticism I've seen for Final Fantasy XIV, even from its biggest fans, is the account system.
Yeah, it's garbage. I'm sorry, Square Enix. I love you, but the account system is garbage.
Square, you need to fix this, man.
Yeah, I think it goes against all Geneva conventions, but
because like I had an account on Final Fantasy XIV before I actually started playing, because I tried to get a free trial on PS4 and I didn't know I had to make a new account to do a PC one, and I don't know, so I just like used a different email, and then I was like, okay, fine, but because I like barely started it, but it was just annoying in the first place. I was like, why even?
It's super annoying because I bought Shadowbringers just a few months ago because I thought, okay, you know what? The dummy account is working. I'm going to reward you guys with my hard-earned money. And now I can't even access anything. And I'm like, what was the point? What was the actual point?
That's so weird. Do you know why?
No, I have no idea. So I'm going to try again because my mock credentials check out.
Okay.
So I'll check that again. If not, I guess I'm gonna have to try another MMO like Bless Unleashed that'll be making its way to PS4 soon, or Star Wars,
or Phantasy Star Online.
Yeah, or Star Wars: The Old Republic that just dropped on Steam.
I actually tried that.
And how have you been liking it?
It just made me want to play Mass Effect.
I mean, it's BioWare, so I guess they did their job, right?
Yeah.
In other news, I've also been playing Ghost of Tsushima. I'm on chapter 2, almost.
Excuse you, that's not a Japanese game. That's the game set in Japan.
It's Japan inspired, and also has had help from Japan studio of Sony. So I'll let it slide. But
you know what's interesting? You know what I learned? I learned that Jin from Ghost of Tsushima. His Japanese voice is the same voice actor who voices Zoro in One Piece, and I was like, I might have to play Ghost of Tsushima now.
I don't think it's Jin's voice actor, because if I'm not mistaken,
no, it is. I checked.
Isn't Jin's voice actor the same voice actor as in English? Because the actor is bilingual. It's a Japanese Canadian actor, if I'm not mistaken.
That's not what I read.
Where did you read your info?
I don't remember.
I'm checking in on IMDb real quick. Because if I'm not mistaken, the reason why he got cast is because he could do both English and Japanese. Let me look it up real quick. Okay,
this one says right on the credits here. Hold on. What? No, that's not the right
one. It does say Kazuya Nakai on IMDb.
Yeah, that's Zoro.
Yeah, I know. Which is interesting because Okay.
Yeah, it's a GameSpot article. Ghost of Tsushima has a beloved One Piece actor in its Japanese voice cast. You'll be able to listen to him by switching to the Japanese voice track from the start of Ghost of Tsushima.
Because I could have sworn I read an interview where they cast him because, well, at least it's a Japanese actor portraying a Japanese character.
Yeah, that's true. Look, I know there was that debate going on about Ghost of Tsushima.
Which debate?
The stuff about Japanese nationalism.
I mean,
and like how the Japanese diaspora views it versus native Japanese people.
Yeah.
Or certain groups of native, because obviously not everybody in Japan is likes the game. But I just think it's as an outsider looking in, I just try to see it as interesting. I'm not trying to take a side or anything. I'm just like,
Yeah, I get it. Anyway, in other gaming news, I've also been playing Atelier Ryza. It's the other Gus developed game. The game they made before Fairy Tail. Because I think it was 2 weeks ago where we had the discussion on Fairy Tail's initial reception, and I was a bit more mixed to negative on it, and I figured, okay, Atelier Ryza is on sale right now. I'll dive into it. It seems to be fairly well received. I'll just explore that a bit and see how that plays out, and see if that could be an indication of how the Fairy Tail game might turn out. And so far, I'm really enjoying my time in Atelier Ryza. It's very delightful. It has a very pleasant...
And now you really want the sequel already.
I don't know about that. It's very delightful, very pleasing and soothing. There's no big save the world plot going on. It's very much a slice of life anime come to life in a video game form, if that makes sense. It's more about the characters and their ambitions and how they go or they want to go on an adventure. It's not so much about...
That's kind of the nice thing about Fairy Tail, because besides the main story, you're just doing whatever. You're just walking around, taking requests, doing community service.
Yeah, there's no big save the world plot, so much as taking on missions to improve the guild and improve yourself as a guild member. But so Fairy Tail. Yeah, so Fairy Tail. But to bring it back to Ryza, it has a very engaging battle system, which surprised me because the Atelier Ryza games are kind of known for being very accessible for newcomers. So I figured, it'll be easy, and it'll be more on the easy side. But it's fairly engaging, and some of the enemies can be pretty tough despite their cute exterior, which surprised me. And
like Dragon Quest?
Not even like Dragon Quest. Like, the art design is specifically geared towards the cute crowd. So when you come across an enemy and you think, oh, this is a cuddly animal who can do me no harm, I'll just steamroll it. It's like, no, this bunny can tear you up in half within within seconds and not even blink or bat an eyelash. So there's that. It also has a sort of crafting system because, alchemy, and it's also, or it can be daunting at first, but once you get the hang of it, it doesn't really change that much from any other.
I totally forgot to mention.
Yeah.
Fairy Tail does have a crafting system with Lacrima.
Well, there you go.
Where you make Lacrima and then you can equip them to characters. And they boost magic, or they boost stats, or they boost a certain element, or do something else.
Yeah. So there you go. It was made by Gus, so it stands to reason that they'd have some elements of the Atelier series they brought to prominence. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's very delightful, and if I'd have to knock it for anything, it'd be for the clunky traversal, because it doesn't really feel like your characters are in the world so much as there is an avatar in the game world going from point A to point B. There are some hidden obstacles that don't make a lot of sense. I mean, coming from games like Last of Us or Ghost of Tsushima, where every nook and cranny can be crawled through, this just kind of makes it seem a bit dated in design. The voice acting is good. It's fully Japanese with subtitles. How
can you tell if when voice acting is good in a language you don't speak?
Well,
that's what I never.
It's you can feel the intent and you can feel the gravity of the voice acting. There are some instances where it's a character that's too cute or too young, and the volume can near screeching levels of being unbearable.
Oh, at least it's not that one girl from Trials of Mana.
Yeah, that's just horrendous. I'm sure she did her best, but that's horrendous. Yeah, so there's that. There's not much to criticize about the game. So if anyone's still interested, it's still on sale on PSN right now. I have the Switch version, and just the performance is really good so far. No real hitches or dips. It's also on PC, but the user reviews have said that it's kind of buggy and not performing all that well. So maybe avoid that one. But yeah, that's what I've been playing.
All right. So moving on to the In From Japan J list. Our first story for that section is Warner Media's Crunchyroll is apparently up for sale. This is from Silicon Era by Jenny Latta. Crunchyroll could get a new owner, according to both The Information and Variety. AT&T is considering selling the streaming service to help pay off its debts. The asking price hasn't been announced, but Variety is noting it could be around $1 billion. And The Information said around $1.5 billion. No potential buyers have been announced. Also, no official company representatives have discussed the deal. However, supposedly Sony is among prospective owners. Sony owns Funimation. This comes alongside another potential Warner Media sale. Oh, the interactive, yeah.
Which...
You know what's interesting? So, you know what's interesting about this? I want to say last year, or maybe 2 years ago, Crunchyroll and Funimation broke off the partnership they had.
Yeah.
And now that Crunchyroll might be getting owned by Sony, they might just have a partnership again.
Yeah. I mean, it could be good, but if Sony...
There's also the fact that there's content it could lose because... So, Crunchyroll has a handful of Ultraman series, but a lot of those Ultraman series are going to be on Shout Factory soon. So, I don't know what the distribution deal with that is. And then I'm kind of worried that some anime won't be as easily accessible, at least officially, when this deal goes, if this deal goes through.
The way I see it and the way I hope it'll go is that if they acquire Crunchyroll, they'll have Funimation focus on the North American markets and Crunchyroll in every other market, like South America or Latin America, Europe.
I hope not, because Funimation's app is garbage. Well, the PS4 app is garbage, at least.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean they have to abandon the app they already have. I'm just saying,
just improve it.
Well, we can't say for sure that they'll abandon their app, especially after Elation put in more work.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying maybe we'll have more Funimation titles on Crunchyroll again.
Yeah, sure. But the thing I'm getting at is if they combine their forces again and with Funimation being the North American focused service, I think Crunchyroll will be there to provide content for every other market. I do want to caution people in kind of celebrating this news, because if Funimation and Crunchyroll combine into one single entity, that means a lot of people are going to probably lose their job because of redundancies. And
I don't think people are celebrating this more as because we don't know that much about it, more as like, huh, that's interesting.
No, I'm talking in terms of people thinking, oh, one service plus the other service means or equals bigger service.
So
I want to caution against that.
I mean, that might not even happen, so well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because anime, well, it isn't on the rise as much as it used to be in the early aughts, but it's still a fairly profitable market, I'd like to think.
I'm more surprised that Warner isn't just putting Crunchyroll stuff into HBO Max.
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
because they have like other anime stuff on there.
Well, they have Ghibli, and Ghibli is kind of what most people think of as anime, and not necessarily like High School DnD or
maybe they just feel it's too split between other streaming services, because Netflix has a lot of anime, Amazon Prime has a lot of anime, other various services.
Well, anime is still a profitable market if so many services are willing to go through bidding wars just to acquire licenses.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure Warner still wants a piece of the pie, or maybe Amazon will swoop back in and say, you know what, we'll give anime another try. Amazon Strike wasn't our best attempt at this, but we'll just add everything Crunchyroll has to our catalog. And knowing Amazon and how they'd like to bolster their ranks, that might be the likely case.
Yeah. Next story on the J list is Netflix streams Zoids Wild anime in the US on August 14th. This is from Alex Mateo at Anime News Network. So you may remember we talked about the Zoids Wild game that came out in Japan, and it's coming out here later this year, I believe. And we're getting the show that is based on Netflix. Tomorrow. Oh my god. So
soon. Are you happy?
Well, I know what I'm doing tomorrow. Yeah, although I haven't seen a full Zoid series. Like, I've been meaning to, but like before I said there's no Zoids streaming on. So if there's enough interest in this, maybe Netflix will try to get the rights to stream the other Zoid series, and that would be great.
I mean, it's possible.
There are only 3 other ones.
It's not that much, Netflix. Just throw Arrow a bone.
Please. I gotta catch up on my Netflix queue. I'm so behind. Anyway, Netflix describes the story. A quest for freedom and legendary treasure begins when a cheerful young adventurer follows his father's footsteps to become the greatest Zoids hunter? I don't think it's hunter in the sense of... I don't know what the sense of is hunter means.
I guess we'll find out once we see the show.
Takara Tomy announced the Zoids Wild franchise in February 2018 with an anime manga, a toy model kit line, and a Nintendo Switch game. First television anime season premiered in July 2018 and ended in June 2019 with 50 episodes.
That seems fairly successful.
Norihiko Sudo directed the anime at Oriental Light and Magic, and Mitsutaka Hirota, Norihiko Sudo also has credits on Kenyu Densetsu Yaiba, 2 Heart 2, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, and then the sound director is Mitsutaka Hirota, who did Sweetness and Lightning, Prince of Tennis 2, Anime Guitarist, Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, and Beyblade Metal Fury, and then And then Noriyuki Asakura is the composer. He did Knights of Sidonia and Rurouni Kenshin.
Well, it's nothing to scoff at.
And then a sequel anime titled Zoids Wild Zero premiered October 2019, but was delayed in May due to the pandemic. Anime resumed on June 19th. Second season featured an entirely new story with new main leads and Zoids units based on the robotic model kits. Okay. So yeah, I'm excited.
You don't sound so excited.
Okay. I'm so excited.
Well, don't break into song just yet, but we'll see how it fares.
Yeah. Alright. So, recommended content. Whoops. Yeah. We got recommended content. The content other than news from the past week listed out. Links in the description. Tales of Christoria is a fully realized Tales of game on your mobile device by Kazuma Hashimoto for Silicon Era. 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim PlayStation Underground gameplay by PlayStation Blog. Axe of the Blood God, the Nintendo DS's remarkable RPG legacy by US Gamer. As Konami hopes to avoid past console transition mistakes, Pro Evolution Soccer 2022 is under pressure to deliver by Wesley Yinpool for Eurogamer. Why Super Mario Brothers? Why Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island was fated to be overlooked despite its brilliance by Nadia Oxford over at US Gamer. Final Fantasy XIV's latest patch is surprisingly full of hope by Elizabeth Henges over at Kotaku. And you should be playing Final Fantasy XIV, a starter's guide to Final Fantasy XIV by Michael Hyam over at GameSpot. Next is time for the news rundown, so I'll let our bearer of bad news take it away.
Bankai. So first up, we have Street Fighter series executive producer Yoshinori Ono to leave Capcom this summer. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Street Fighter series executive producer Yoshinori Ono will leave Capcom this summer after serving almost 30 years at the company, he announced. And this starts off with a quote: I've been with the Street Fighter brand for a long time, experiencing good times, bad times, and even non-existent times, Ono said in a letter to fans. My heart is filled with appreciation to those players who've been giving warm and kind support on the brand, especially little over the decade. Well, this is probably translated straight from Japanese into English, so... on the brand, especially little over the past decade or so, as all the activities on the Street Fighter brand regained sunshine and grew its liveliness. Okay. He continued, Capcom staff in the new generation will continue taking care of the Street Fighter brand and leading the world warriors. And I do believe that they will continue making Street Fighter extraordinary. I will look forward to seeing the new Street Fighter brand and how it's going to be expanded as just one of regular gamers next time around. Again, you can click on the article for his full statement or letter to the fans, and he also finishes it up with a Shoryuken, one of the most famous attacks or moves from Street Fighter.
People have been talking about this a lot.
Yeah, I was going to add a few industry insiders and journalists have mentioned that this is most likely him being fired from Capcom after a very prominent demotion that followed several quote-unquote mistakes for the series.
Including Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and allegedly Street Fighter 6. Or what was shown to people of Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, so
at the company.
You had Street Fighter 4 that reignited the fighting game community.
Man, I love Street Fighter 4, and I'm not even a big fighting game person.
And then you had Street Fighter 5, which was marred with its initial launch with cut content and kind of wonky balancing, I want to say. I mean, they have recovered since and are now with the champions. Is champion or championship update, which features a lot of fighters, a lot of content. And then you also had the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite debacle, which I don't know if you saw the initial trailers, but that game was not looking all that good.
The trailers were like the more cinematic looking trailers were cool, and the story concept was cool. The gameplay was actually people have kind of come around on the gameplay.
I don't know if that's the case, because initially what I saw from the community was that they were not all that pleased with how the game looked. With regards to the character models.
With how it looked, it wasn't that. No,
but
the models looked.
When it came to the gameplay, it was somewhat well received, but it's now mostly forgotten because
it's on Game Pass.
Yeah, I mean, why play this when you have Street Fighter 5 or Tekken 7? So, it's not a.
I'll play it because I like Marvel vs. Capcom.
Sure, but it's not a favorite.
And it's on Game Pass.
It's not a favorite in the community. If
I'd rather have them re-release Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Well, good luck with that and licensing. If you wanna experience some of the glory days, you still have Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Yep, I have that on my PS4.
Well, this is a bummer because the way I saw Ono was someone who was very jolly and someone who was very fond of Street Fighter and wanted it to be its best. But yeah, it's kind of sad to see him get demoted and ultimately let go like this.
So, you know what's interesting is I've seen different views on this. One was my friend saying like there's this, and then there's there was the Ace Attorney guy who left a couple months ago, and he's like, what if things aren't that going that well for Capcom, and that's why. But then on the flip side. We have, I saw Gaijin Hunter, the Monster Hunter YouTuber. He's saying like a lot of stuff of like, oh, Capcom's probably got a lot of big plans soon with Resident Evil and Monster Hunter, and I'm like, huh. And I guess it depends on the lens you're looking at.
But I don't think the latter one has any bearing on how Ono was treated and ultimately let go. Because I want to. Attach myself to what Imran Khan said on one of this week's Kind of Funny GDs.
Games Daily?
Yeah, where he said, in Japan you have kind of the culture where you're employed for life. It's not like you're going to be quitting or resigning yourself from a company. And you also have this thing where if you perform not as well as expected, you'll get demoted and kind of publicly made an example of, which was the case with Ono. But to a certain degree, this is all speculation because we don't have any official word from Capcom or himself. But given the nature of this and how Japanese culture is, I doubt we'll see any of this.
What was the thing that Imran was talking about? There was some video call that he saw footage of somehow, and there were like Capcom developers, and one of them put up a picture of Ono, and all the other developers in the call just visibly like cringed.
I think
he was saying something.
Wasn't it the fighting game community roundtable?
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
But I don't remember him saying that. But
I think it must have been. It was probably something like that.
But moving on, it's kind of a bummer to see someone who was such a.
It's unfortunate, but it's like, I don't know. Those are some big mistakes.
I mean, big mistakes. Street Fighter 5
they just didn't want to risk it with Street Fighter 6, I guess.
I don't know. We'll know one of these days. Okay, next up we have Toei Animation Europe website removes 2021 release date for Digimon Survive. And this is by Liam Doolin for Nintendo Life. In April, there were reports that the upcoming adventure tactical RPG Digimon Survive had gone from a 2020 release window to a TBA. At the time, it was believed to be tied to a development overhaul. Fortunately for Digimon fans, it turned out to be a typo on Famitsu's behalf, with the Japanese site listing the game as TBA instead of 2020 by mistake. This was confirmed by a Bandai Namco representative in the United States. Now we've got a small update. The Toei Animation Europe webpage for the game has removed the January 2021 release window a week after its discovery. All that's left is the name of the title. And yeah, so there's that. So there's not much news on when it's actually coming out.
We just know it's TBD now.
Yeah, it does say. We should also add that the official website for the game currently has the game's release date down as 2020, but that could also be a question of the official website not having been updated in time.
Updated yet, yeah.
So I guess we'll see it when we see it.
It's unfortunate because this game was originally going to come out in like 2019.
Yeah, but you have to imagine probably a lot of plans have been shifted around due to COVID.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing this.
But this got delayed before that.
Sure, but
like this, yeah.
But
and it's been looking good. So it's like I wonder what they're doing. Maybe they just have to rebalance a bunch of stuff, or.
No, but I was gonna say they shifted it to this year, and they were working on it, but COVID then threw a wrench in the system, and now they have to kind of extend their development time. I
feel like if there wasn't this pandemic, maybe we would have gotten a release date, or we would have known a release date during Anime Expo
or Play Anime Live.
Yeah, or I don't know.
I'm still not over it.
I don't think Play Anime Live would have even happened if
I'm still not over it. Anyway, next up we have New York Comic Con 2020 cancelled due to the pandemic. This is by Jenny Latta for Silicon Era. Another event has fallen victim to the COVID-19 pandemic. ReedPop President Lance Festerman, Vice President Mike Armstrong, and NYCC Event Director Christina Rogers announced that the New York Comic Con 2020 has been cancelled, both on Facebook and the official site. In its place, words are difficult today. In its place, a New York Comic Con 2020 Metaverse event will be held online October 8th to 11th, 2020. In the announcement, ReedPop confirmed it did discuss with Javits Center officials and local government officials to see if there could be some sort of physical event. Since that isn't possible, it will be working with London's MCM Comic Con on the NYCC 2020 Metaverse instead. It will also run for 4 days and give people a chance to go through panels and events online with YouTube through the new online portal. Announcements will still be made and exclusive products will still be offered. So, yeah. I don't know who else is planning a live event this year, but just cancel it, please. Just cancel it. No one will look down on you. It's fine. Okay, that's the bad news. Shall we go straight into the good news or other news?
Yeah, or the other news in other news.
Yeah. Okay, first up we have Final Fantasy VII Remake shipments and digital sales top 5 million. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Total worldwide shipments and digital sales for Final Fantasy VII Remake surpassed 5 million units, Square Enix announced. Final Fantasy VII Remake has also become the highest selling digital release on the PlayStation platform in Square Enix company history with over 2 million digital sales. Final Fantasy VII Remake launched for PlayStation 4 on April 10 worldwide. And you can click on the article for an overview and the trailer. I saw someone, I don't know who it was, probably Justin Davis or the guy behind RPG Side, saying it's curious seeing Square Enix touting Final Fantasy VII Remake as the quickest selling digitally, when Final Fantasy 15 was previously touted as such. Maybe they adjusted the figures and Final Fantasy VII Remake turned out to be the biggest and quickest seller after all, but it's interesting. Next up we have Disgaea 6 characters, possibly shown in NIS America email. This is by Jenny Lada for Silicon Era. We might have just gotten a look at some new Disgaea characters, potentially even from Disgaea 6. NIS America sent out an email with a message from President Sohei Niikawa. At the end of the short note was an image of 2 Disgaea-like demons sitting on a gravestone and eating. What's interesting about the picture is that both of these appear to be original characters. There's a young man with a heart on his chest in a red hoodie. He has a horn in the center of his forehead and also appears to have his legs stitched out. As for the girl, she has pink hair, 2 horns, and one of her arms stitched on. In the background, you can see a pug-like character also nibbling on something. Well, I mean, as far as the artwork goes, it's really reminiscent of the Disgaea series, so I wouldn't put it past him for this to be an indication of Disgaea 6, but I guess time will tell. Okay, next up we have... Sega hopes to release more games on PC thanks to Persona 4 Golden success. This is by Alistair Wong for Silicon Era. This week, Sega held its investors meeting for the quarter online, and during the Q&A session, an investor asked Sega Sammy CEO Haruki Satomi and CFO Koichi Fukazawa regarding whether more games will be sold on PC via Steam in the future, following the success of Persona 4 Golden. Here's the full question and answer translated below. Okay, I'll read everything, so bear with me. Regarding Steam, Persona 4 Golden has been doing very well in sales. Will the company consider selling new titles in the future from the very start? And the answer is... Persona 4 Golden is a remaster of a previous title released for PlayStation Vita. With its release onto Steam, the game was rated highly by game review sites, and in part due to its cheap price. The game surpassed our expectations in sales by a large margin. In the future, we would like to proactively pursue porting previously released titles onto Steam and other new platforms. Furthermore, regarding new games in the future, we will negotiate with the platform holders and examine different methods of selling each title case by case under favorable conditions. As part of this, we hope to take actions such as releasing PC versions from the very start with multi-platform releases in mind. I saw someone describe this on Twitter as Sega discovers selling games on PC is good. In other news, water is wet.
See, you know what's weird about this?
Yeah?
Is that Sega has released a handful of things on PC. But a lot of them are like Sonic games, and I was realizing that like Sonic is kind of its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
It just Sega just owns it, but it kind of like is separate from all the other Sega properties.
Yeah,
in a way.
Well,
it's just its own beast.
Well, they own the Atlas portfolio too now.
Yeah,
but I'm guessing Sonic games will always sell. Maybe not spectacularly, but they will always sell because it's Sonic and people like Sonic.
Somehow.
I was just about to say that, but I didn't. You also have the Yakuza games on PC now,
which are great.
Which are great.
All three, Yakuza 0, Kiwami, and Kiwami 2 are all on Game Pass.
Yeah, but it's surprising that of all the games, Persona 4 Golden is the one to light a match under their behinds and make them realize.
Hey, wait. We might be onto something here.
Yeah, like I didn't know people liked RPGs on PC. And they probably had bad experiences with the Valkyrie Chronicle games on PC.
But they also have Phantasy Star.
Sure, but they're not.
And I'm not talking not just the MMO. I'm saying like the old ones too.
No, that's true, but they're not as a known quantity as Persona is, and
that's true.
Persona has sold 500,000 in such a short time, so
yeah.
I think they're gonna be dipping into the portfolio which has fans clamoring for, like Persona 3, Persona 1 and 2. ports on
Maybe.
PSP. So I think all those are ripe for re-releases on PC.
Give us the Phantasy Star PSP
you might have the
games, some ports.
Sure. You have the Shining Star.
Oh, Shining.
Yeah, the Shining franchise games on maybe Switch.
Well, we have one of those on PC, right?
Shining Resonance Refrain, but I'm thinking of the classic
that game
series.
was not. I tried that game. It was not.
I played the demo and I wrote for the website about the demo, and I was kind of good on what I played, but I don't know. Anyway, hopefully this
Skies of Arcadia port, please.
Dear God, please, because
I saw you retweet about that.
yeah, I looked on eBay and it's about $170 for a new.
Can you Sega Skies of Arcadia Legends port?
Yeah.
Specifically.
I mean, there's also a sealed copy, but that goes for like $200 and above, and I'm not about that life.
No, I don't even have a thing to play that on, so I'm just like, nope, I'm not.
Well, I do have, I do still have my GameCube, but I don't think it's worth that much. Okay, you're up next.
All right, next generation Xbox controller packaging mentions Xbox Series S compatibility. This is from Sal Romano of Rikamatsu. Announcement rumored for sometime in August. Images of a white next-generation Xbox controller appeared online today, complete with packaging that mentions compatibility with both Xbox Series X and the unannounced Xbox Series S. The images were first posted online by Twitter user Tiny Rakin.
Not raccoon, just Tiny Rakin?
Tiny Rakan.
Okay.
And then, like, the controller, they don't see the problem I have with this Xbox controller. They just added a button.
And it's a bit smaller, if I'm not mistaken.
But like the DualSense, and I know that some people are resistant to change, but the DualSense at least tries a couple new things. Like,
but
Xbox is like, here's one new button, and we still use batteries.
I'd like to counter that with saying, but will the haptic feedback benefit us greatly? Like, the PS4 controller added
I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Touchpad.
Both of these controllers aren't out yet.
No, I know, but
we'll see.
I just want to say the PS4 controller added the touchpad that we barely use, besides a glorified map button or inventory button. And
it was kind of neat in Gravity Rush 2.
Sure, but it's whatever. It's barely used.
And the Tearaway,
and the Xbox controller is still using batteries. I've seen it argued as it's to give the consumer more choice. These batteries specifically last a long time, and if you want, you can have a play and charge kit to add rechargeable batteries.
Okay, so it comes with specific batteries.
Yeah. If you have the PlayStation controller that has terrible battery life versus an Xbox controller where you have to switch the batteries, which would you choose?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Okay, next up we have
DualSense is supposed to have better battery life.
Well, here's to hoping.
We'll see. Yeah.
Okay, next up we have Falcom President Toshihiro Kondo on Hajimari no Kisuke and Falcom's new engine. This is by Alistair Wong for Silicon Era. They should just make us the Silicon Era podcast or Gamatsu podcast at this point.
I'm surprised Silicon Era doesn't have a podcast because they stream every so often.
Sure, but I'm guessing the staff is scattered across the globe.
Yeah, that's a bunch of time differences.
Yeah. Anyway, recently President Toshihiro Kondo sat down for an interview where he discussed questions about the upcoming The Legend of Heroes Hajimari no Kisuke. I'm not saying that right. Hajimari no Kiseki. Hajimari no Kiseki. Yes, this is difficult, man. Hajimari no Kiseki. Okay. As well as Falcom's new engine that has been in development since the end of development for Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 4. Okay, the article has some spoilers, so I'm gonna have to parse through them to see see what's usable. Regarding the Legend of Heroes Hajimari no Kiseki, according to Kondo, Trails in the Sky third protagonist Kevin Graham will appear in Hajimari no Kiseki. It's so difficult. I don't know why. Kiseki. Hajimari no Kiseki. Okay, Kiseki.
What's the English name? Just use that.
What's Hajimari? Hajimari
Trails in the something.
Hajimari is start. Hajimari.
Trails in the Sky?
Trails of the beginning. So Hajimari would be beginning, and no Kiseki with trails of. Oh god. Okay, Trails of the beginning. Okay. Trails in the Sky third protagonist Kevin Graham will appear in Trails of the Beginning. Let's see what else. 50 playable characters. That's a lot. The game would be split into 3 chapters. Okay. I'm not gonna be discussing that much because I don't want to spoil myself too. Hajimari no Kiseki.
I should have checked that.
No sweat. While Hajimari no Kiseki will only take place in regions previously shown in the series, there are some new characters who haven't appeared up until now. Okay. There's this link between this and Trails in the Sky third, so take that for what you want. Regarding the new engine and future Falcom games, Hajimari no Kiseki will be the last game made using the current engine, and the next game will use a brand new engine that has a strong focus on improved graphical presentation compared to the current one. If there are any chances in the future to remake past titles, Kondo hopes it will be using the new engine. The new engine entered development after the release of Trails of Cold Steel 4, roughly around 2 years ago. At that time, Falcom didn't receive any info on the next Sony game system, so the new engine is still based on the PlayStation 4 standards. Kondo hopes that games developed with the new engine will release on PS5 and reaffirm that Hajimari no Kiseki will get PS5 compatibility via a post-launch patch. Future games will use a new orbment system that's primarily based on that of Sky, Zero, and AO games. Kondo acknowledges that there is a large demand for a photo mode for the Kiseki series due to the variety of characters. Oh dear god, there's so much more. Okay, read the article if you want any more details, because I'm not going to sit here and read everything.
Sorry.
It's fine.
The point is, it uses a new engine. That was the main point.
Yeah, because I think it was when Callie was on, we were discussing it a bit, because the graphics looked a bit improved, but it's still kind of similar to what you could see on a PS3 or early PS4 game.
That was 84 years ago. No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, I'm kind of interested to see what the new graphics will look like. Because this style of graphical fidelity has been with Falcom games for, I want to say, forever now. Probably since Memories of Calcetta, or Calcetta, the East game on PS Vita.
I think it's Celceta.
Yeah, or Calcetta. Up until now, which is a lot of time for one engine.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, because they're using that. Yeah, the East Monster of Nox looks really good.
Yeah.
All right, next story. Deadly Premonition 2 FPS fix and inverted camera by Jenny Lana for Siliconera. One of the biggest issues in Deadly Premonition 2 is being addressed further, the frame rate. An update was released at the beginning of August 2020 that once again tackled problems present in the game since its launch. While it might not be 100% what folks might expect, the Deadly Premonition FPS has been increased. In addition, there's a new inverted camera option. While patch notes aren't available for this update, Dartmonkey's comparison videos show exactly how the Deadly Premonition 2 FPS has changed. The tweet begins with Agent York skateboarding over a bridge after the game was patched. Then it shows what it was like before the patch. As for the inverted camera option, the update was confirmed by producer Tomio Kanazawa. An official tweet mentioned the various improvements and new camera control option. Deadly Premonition 2 is available, blah blah blah. I swear he did promise things would be fixed. So that's good. I still need to play the first one. I have it. Just need to get around to it. Probably in October. Because that's when I'll be in the mood
I'm
for it.
super interested in Deadly Premonition, but the graphics and the general weirdness kind of turned me off.
That's part of the charm.
I know.
Have you seen Twin Peaks?
That's the thing. I've never seen Twin Peaks. I know.
Okay, well, if you have a way to watch Twin Peaks, watch Twin Peaks.
I'm familiar with the show, but it's just, I don't know. It just doesn't strike my fancy.
Alternatively, and this is going to sound really weird, you could also watch Gravity Falls.
Gravity Falls I do have on my Netflix.
Pretty much the same thing, right?
Yeah. Okay, next up we have...
People are going to be... If I have any Twin Peaks fans, they're going to get really mad at me. But it's okay, because I'm also a Twin Peaks fan. I just haven't finished it yet. Oh, well, I finished season 1.
Just don't be mad at yourself, then.
Yeah.
Next up,
I love Gravity Falls.
We have new Eiyuden Chronicles stretch goals at Investigations and Trading. This is by Jenny Lada for Silicon Era. 3 new Eiyuden Chronicles stretch goals have been added to the game's Kickstarter, and they bring back 2 features present in the Suikoden series. One is investigations, which are performed by a detective character, which is so fun. It's really fun. Another is a trading system. In addition, the game is coming closer to potentially having 108 recruitable characters, as the 2.9 million stretch goal would add the 106th character. I still think it's really genius to lock the remaining 8 characters under stretch goals, because it kind of makes for a great incentive to keep adding money. But
yeah,
you're clever. You're very clever, developer. You're very clever. One of the 3 new goals has already been reached. The Psychic Detective Agency background check was the 2.8 million secret stretch goal. As a project passed 2.832 million as of 9 a.m. Central Time on August 10th, 2020, people will once again get to learn more about the characters they have recruited. Based on the description, which says your Fortress Town detective will use their power to look at people's past, it sounds like it will add investigations. In past Suikoden games, you could pay to learn more about the people you recruited. As an example, Richmond was the Suikoden 2 detective, and he'd be able to look into each person 3 times for you. The first game didn't have the feature. So if you click on the article, you have a bit more info on the other stretch goals. But I'm happy to see that Eiyuden Chronicle is set to be fully funded way past its initial goal and kind of become a really feature-rich, full-fledged game, and I'm just happy to see it.
Yeah. Next story is Dragon Quest of the Stars global release. Oh, I guess this title is actually different. Koei Tecmo Midas is handling Dragon Quest of the Stars global release. This is by Kite Stenbuck for Silicon Era.
That's a cool name.
Is that a new person?
I think so.
I know Kite is a character in Dot Hack.
Yeah.
Oh, and in Hunter x Hunter. Anyway,
that's true.
Koei Tecmo president Hisashi Koinuma recently talked about how the global release of Square Enix's Dragon Quest of the Stars is being managed by the former's Midas brand, with its base of operations located in Singapore. A cooperative project between Square Enix and Koei Tecmo is not unheard of, as they have worked together many times before. Koei Tecmo has been involved in the development of Dissidia, Final Fantasy NT, Dragon Quest Builders 2, the Dragon Quest Heroes series, and the mobile game Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. Accompanied by Koei Tecmo Midas' first section head, Naohito Kano, Koinuma revealed how the new Six brand, established recently in April 2017, has undergone a massive change since its inception. It was originally comprised of a few young members with outsourcing-focused developments and an aim to produce new mobile game IPs that did not rely on the company's existing brand IPs. Koei Tecmo Midas announced 2 mobile game apps codenamed Project Code F and Project Code Puck.
That's so strange.
at Tokyo Game Show 2017. Both games were originally slated for release in 2018, but neither of them showed up that year. This interview confirmed that the development for both projects ceased with very little chance of restarting because mobile app releases have a limited marketability window based on trends at the time. Koinuma took over the Midas brand head position in August 2018 and reorganized it so that the team is now comprised of around 30 to 40 software developers with a mix of young and experienced members. He also changed the brand's development policy to become more like a jack of all trades that can handle things other brands in the company may not be able to do, including developing mobile versions of their IPs. The reborn Koei Tecmo Midas brand team currently has multiple development lines, and Koinuma hopes it can announce a new title within this fiscal year and release at least one title per fiscal year. For now, the brand wants to focus on producing more mobile games for the Japanese domestic market, although it is also open to expanding to console games and international releases in the future. The interview also revealed that the recent port of Monster Rancher for the Nintendo Switch and mobile devices was done by a division in Koei Tecmo known as the Portal Service Department. The ports performed even better than what the company expected, which is why the team should localize them. Okay, I made up that. Which is why the team received a green light to port Monster Rancher 2 to the same platforms. Koinuma hopes that Midas will be able to take up more porting jobs like this and localize them.
Okay, next up we have Final Fantasy.
Oh no, hold on. I want to talk about that. So Koei Tecmo, so like it seems like Koei Tecmo like is going to be having a hand in a lot of mobile games. So I noticed something when I've been playing like Tales of Krystoria and some other stuff. K-Lab Games helps with a ton of mobile games.
Yeah, that's true.
I had no idea. Like I interviewed I forgot what his position was. I interviewed a guy from K-Lab at Anime Expo a couple of years ago, and at that time, it was just focused on like Shueisha properties, stuff that was in Shonen Jump, so like the Captain Tsubasa mobile game, of the Bleach one, some other stuff, Yu Yu Hakusho one, stuff like that. I had no idea they had a hand in so many things. So like that's gonna be interesting to see how Koei Tecmo Midas like does stuff in the future, but they have their hand in.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of mobile games you see are primarily done by, well, the gacha ones, for example, are primarily done by about a handful of studios. So it's not going to be surprising if you see the developers pop out or pop in every now and then.
Yeah. As much as I don't like mobile games, in the past few years, I will admit they have gotten a lot better, in some ways.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, we have Final Fantasy XIV Patch 5.3 notes highlight what the new for reflection. Wait, what? Final Fantasy XIV.
No, Reflections in the Crystal.
Final Fantasy XIV Patch 5.3 notes highlight what's new for Reflections in Crystal. This is by Sato for Silicon Era. Okay. Final Fantasy XIV Patch 5.3 launches on August 11, 2020, and Square Enix provided the full patch notes. In this major update, we'll get a conclusion to the Shadowbringer story and the second part of the Nier Automata collaboration raid. It will also bring big changes to A Realm Reborn parts of the game. You can click on the article for full patch notes if you so choose. Okay. Next up is special Final Fantasy XIV illustrations are currently on display in Shibuya Station. This is by Kazuma Hashimoto for Silicon Era. To commemorate the further edition of Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward to the Free Trial, a series of special box art are currently on display in Shibuya Station. These include artworks by Fairy Tail artist Hiro Mashima and Pop Team Epic artist Bukubu Okawa. For those that cannot go to Shibuya Station to check out the expansive collection of artwork, Square Enix has opened up a website for those who wish to check out these special box arts. So check that out. And next up is all you.
I like the Hiro Mashima one.
I'm gonna check out what they have in store because I have not seen it.
I'll send you that one because I sent that on a different Discord. So
cool.
Yeah. All right. Final Fantasy XIV, another story. So Final Fantasy XIV Yokai Watch collaboration event returns on August 19th, 2020. Hold on. What's going on? My computer's being weird.
Should I read it then?
No, I got it. It was just being weird my mouse was being weird for a second. This is by Sato once again for Siliconera. Final Fantasy XIV recently got its patch 5.3 update, but its Yokai Watch collaboration event won't arrive until next week on August 19th, 2020. The Yokai Watch collaboration event will also feature 4 new yokai minions and weapons in its return. The Yokai Watch collaboration event first appeared in 2016, and it returned for a rerun in 2017. The event hasn't returned since then. Wow. But with the recent revamp to a Realm Reborn areas, it's a good time to bring it back. Furthermore, players can now fly in the Realm Reborn areas, so it should make fate farming that much less of a pain. Adventurers can start the quest by speaking to the Poor Healed Youth NPC located at the Steps of Nald in Ul'dah. It has a minimum level requirement of 15, and players must first complete one of the following main scenario quests: the Gridanian Envoy, the Lomnison Envoy, or the Ul'dah Envoy. After receiving a Yokai Watch and Yokai Medallion, you can go out and collect Yokai medals by equipping the watch and participating in fates. Check out the new Yokai minions added for the Final Fantasy XIV Yokai Watch collaboration event. We got Lord Enma, Lord Ananta, Zazel, and Demona. These are all like the yokai, like royalty. And here are the new weapons to match the 4 yokai. You got the Gunblade of the Yokai King, the Rapier of the Serpent Lord, which is for red mages, the Katana of the King's Council, which is for samurai, and Glaives of the Dark Princess, which is for dancer.
Gunblade of
I think
the
the order weapons are for the other classes, so I need to see what the Dark Knight one is.
Okay.
If there is one. But I'm definitely going to get those. There's also a mount and other... I'm guessing the mount and other minions, the previous mounts and other minions are also available. And so I'm going to be doing that.
Yeah, because you're a diehard yokai fan.
Well, because I have to be on brand. And my character already has the Dragon Quest Thug Mask. Because it surprisingly fits, even though Hrothgar can't wear most helmets.
Yeah. Okay, next up is also you.
Me. Once again from Siliconera, this time by Jenny Lana. Gravity Rush Remastered Gamefly rentals will be available August 11, 2020. A rare and expensive PlayStation 4 version of a PlayStation Vita game is going to be available through an additional avenue soon. Gravity Rush Remastered Gamefly rentals will be available starting August 11, 2020. The rental page is already up on the official website. Gamefly made the announcement on Twitter on August 10, 2020. While it is very easy to get a digital copy as it is on the PlayStation Store for $29.99 and often on sale, just as a note, Gravity Rush PS4 physical copy prices have skyrocketed in recent years. A used copy is $59.99 at GameStop if you can find it at a store near you. Some of the cheapest Amazon Marketplace prices start at $180. People were asking the important, quote-unquote, questions in response to Gamefly's announcement, which was how much it would be to keep the game if they rented it. Initially, Gamefly's representative tweeted, "Not offering a keep price at this time, sorry." In a follow-up response asking if the rental copy was lost, the Twitter account said, $70 is the cost of doing business. Gravity Rush is available for PlayStation Vita, while Gravity Rush Remastered is available for PS4. Even in the case of the handheld version, it can go for $50 or more. I used to have the physical, and I wish I never traded it in, because it was hard to get at the time, too. Just not quite as hard. Now I have it digitally on PS4, so it doesn't matter. But
which I kind of want to ask you about. Do you think you will ever change your stance on owning physical editions? Like, I know.
No, I prefer. I will always prefer physical to digital.
No, I meant because I've heard you talk about trading in physical editions for other games. because myself, I'm not that big of a fan of trading in or selling my games. I like.
Well, it's hard to because before it was just to save money, right? But now I can't really do that. Like I could do that, but with the threat of this pandemic thing happening, and just like it's just like too much of a hassle right now.
I understand.
But so like some things I've been getting digitally, and then other things now it just kind of depends on the game. Because like Last of Us 2 and Final Fantasy 7 Remake, I both got digitally, but like Fairy Tail I got physically. Neo 2 I just bought physically because it was on sale. Captain Tsubasa I'm getting physically because there's probably not going to be that many copies of that.
Yeah.
It just at this point it just depends on the game.
Okay.
And what platform I'm getting on. There are just certain factors.
Gotcha.
Whether I want like an art book or whatever, like the collector's edition comes with, if it even has a collector's edition, because we don't get any of the cool Captain Tsubasa stuff that Europe gets.
I mean, do you need a foosball table?
No, but it would be cool to have the figure.
Oh, that's true.
Next story is Little Witch Academia VR Broom Racing launches October 13th for Oculus Quest. In early 2021 for PlayStation VR, Oculus Rift, and Steam VR. I guess I have to get a VR device now.
Yeah.
This is by Sal Romano of Rekomatsu. Little Witch Academia VR Broom Racing will launch for Oculus Quest via the Oculus Quest Store on October 13th for $29.99, followed by PlayStation VR, Oculus Rift, and Steam VR in early 2021, developer Universe announced. The fans are the lifeblood of the Little Witch Academia series, and that principle guided us at Universe when creating VR Broom Racing, said Universe COO Naoya Koji in a press release. We strive to make this accessible an experience as possible for the fans, even if it's their first VR experience, and know we will live up to their expectations. And then there's like an overview. If you've seen Little Witch Academia, it's one of those great Studio Trigger, and I believe it's on Netflix in the US still.
Yeah. Okay.
Can we get a SSS Gridman VR thing?
Okay. Maybe put it on your Christmas list.
Santa will bring it to
me? Maybe. Next up, we have...
Alright, now we're finally back to you.
Yeah. We have Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remastered DLC Maniacs Pack announced. Adds Dante from Devil May Cry. And this is by Sal Romano for Gematsu. Like, is Sal Romano the only guy working at Gematsu?
I think so. Huh. I think very rarely you get somebody else.
Huh. Okay. Anyway. Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster will add guest character Dante from the Devil May Cry series via the paid downloadable content Maniacs Pack for 980 yen, which is probably about $9 to $10, Atlus announced. It will launch alongside the game on October 29th in Japan. Dante was a guest character in the 2004 release Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne Maniacs, which launched a year after the original Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne in Japan. This was the version of the game used for the North American and European release of the Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne. Oh, okay. And within brackets it says, or parentheses, it says Shin Megami Tensei Lucifer's Call in Europe. So I'm guessing fans are happy now, because a lot of people were concerned when...
I've seen two things on this.
Yeah?
I've seen people be really happy about this, especially because they fixed... hold on. People have been really happy about this, especially because they fixed the pierce damage he was missing. And then I've seen other... I remember, once again, Imran Khan saying that this was like a kind of... He didn't say greedy. He was just kind of like, this is a crappy move by Atlus making Dante DLC for $10. But then you got to think about licensing though, so it might be a Capcom thing.
That's true, and I'm also thinking maybe Atlus is trying to keep the focus on Shin Megami Tensei proper. Yeah, because it seems like they're repositioning themselves as saying, hey, you know what? Persona is fun and is great, but the real series has always been Shin Megami Tensei, so let's keep it as focused as possible. Which is my thing.
So like, if it's one of those things where it's like, oh, it comes with the collector's edition, comes with Dante, it's like, oh, okay. Like you get some money off. Like I could see that happening.
Yeah.
But we won't know until next year. Next story. I am still excited for that game. I just don't think I'll get Dante. I don't think I need to spend an extra $10 to get a character that I don't really care for that much.
I mean, I still do it because Dante is a cool character. But this is based on the...
And that's where the whole featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series thing comes from.
Yeah, but this is based on the DMC2 model. I'd like to say.
Yeah, that's why I didn't like it, I think.
So,
I was like, wait, that's weird.
I don't know. We'll see.
Alright, next story is... Ninjala Patch 2.0 will let players match with one another worldwide. This is by Kasuma Hashimoto, once again for Siliconera. The latest Ninjala patch will let players match with one another worldwide. With the 2.0 patch update, players will no longer be locked to their region-specific servers and can now match with friends from across the globe. In addition to this, the ranking boards have been changed to accommodate this new update. In regards to latency, the developers had this to say via the official Ninjala update release notice. We have now made it possible to match with players of any region, provided that transmission speeds fall within defined acceptable parameters. Players will be able to play with friends internationally, queue up for ranked matches, and have the opportunity to play with other players from other countries. These regions include the designated North and Central America, Europe, Asia, Oceania, and Japanese servers. Should we try to play Ninjala together now?
We'll see about that.
Outside of the option to play Ninjala with friends worldwide, matchmaking has been adjusted so that players are more likely to be ranked with other players of similar rank. Gun weapon parameters have also been adjusted. Additionally, the UI and UX in Ninjala has been changed to better reflect super armor activating, and a parry guide HUD has been added as well. UX updates include showing the remaining number of users currently preparing for a match, and it will now show which parties are partied with one another in the matching lobby. I've been meaning to play this.
I have a question.
But, yeah.
Do you think that the success of Ninjala will make Nintendo go, what if instead of Splatoon 3, we just make Splatoon free to play? Do you think that'll ever happen? Because
I don't. Well,
Nintendo's so precious with their properties.
Yeah, Nintendo doesn't always do the obvious thing, so I don't know. What's weird, like I haven't really heard many people talk about Ninjala.
Yeah,
and like I've been meaning to play it. I just haven't had the time, and also Fall Guys. Yeah. Fall Guys kind of took over. Plus, it's crazy that it has this many downloads because it's only on one platform.
I mean, Switch gamers are very hungry for new content.
That's true. If you're next story, this is by Jenny Lotta from Siliconera. More Ninjala free Jala doled out as the game passes 4 million downloads. Ninjala Gung Ho Online Entertainment's free-to-play Nintendo Switch game involving ninja kids beating each other up for points and glory has hit a new download milestone.
What a description.
Over 4 million people have grabbed the game. As a result, more Ninjala free Jala is being sent out to everyone. People can get the in-game currency by logging in before October 28th, 2020. Oh, wow, that's a decent amount of time.
Yeah, get on it.
In addition to the milestone, a number of Ninjala updates have rolled out. For example, Patch 2.0 is available. Yeah, it just says the stuff we already said. The Ninjala Ippon Matsuri event is also running. Until August 16th, 2020, everyone earns more rewards for matches and gets to work toward Ippon rewards that will be doled out to everyone. If the community as a whole earns certain amounts of Ippon from playing, they'll get bronze, silver, and gold medals. And then they're just different milestones. So yeah, that's really, like, for a thing that I feel like I don't hear people talk about much, it's at least relatively popular.
Yeah. Oh well. Maybe I'll try it.
I will try it. Maybe I'll try it before the next podcast.
Yeah.
Actually, I definitely will try it before the next podcast.
I mean, Ys 8 is still on sale, so that might steal my attention, but we'll see. Okay, next up we have Dragon Ball, Gundam, and One Piece continue to perform as top-selling IPs for Bandai Namco by Sato for Silicon Era. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why we won't move past mediocre fighting games. Dragon Ball, Gundam, and One Piece
the Gundam game is supposed to be really good.
Probably. I'm kind of fuzzy on the details.
I mean, it is a port of an arcade game.
Yeah, sure.
So.
I'm kind of fuzzy on the details because they keep pumping Gundam games out with such an alarming rate, so it's kind of hard to keep track of it all. But Dragon Ball, Gundam, and One Piece are among the top-selling IPs for Bandai Namco in the latest quarter. Find out how well various IPs performed in the latest financial results for the first quarter of the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2020. Okay, let's see. It's not giving us as much detail as I'd like, but when it comes to the sales of the IP, the most notable are Ultraman, Anpanman above Ultraman, Kamen Rider under Ultraman, then you have Mobile Suit Gundam, then you have Super Sentai, then you have Dragon Ball.
Is this only in Japan?
Let me see. I think this is worldwide. Well, it says sales of IPs group wide, so I'm guessing also in the rest of the world besides Japan.
Oh, okay. Because I know Ultraman and Kamen Rider are very popular in some Southeast Asian countries.
Yeah. Okay.
And Sentai.
Yeah. So Super Sentai, Dragon Ball, Naruto, Pretty Cure, and One Piece. You're telling me Pretty Cure sells more than One Piece? And you're telling me Naruto sells more than One Piece?
Hey, man. Yeah, that's weird. Well, worldwide, no, that makes sense worldwide. If it was Japan only, I think One Piece would be
that's true.
higher.
That's true. But man.
Dragon Ball makes sense.
Yeah, Dragon Ball will always sell. And that's why they keep pumping out fighting games and RPG-esque within the Dragon Ball universe. So
yeah,
I'm guessing I should say get ready for Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3 to 10 for the next
Hey man, if they give us more, dude, I played Xenoverse 1 was really fun.
No, I know it can be fun, and I'm not knocking it for that, but I'm just saying, will it ever reach the level of a Tekken or a Street Fighter? Or
I wish more things had a Xenoverse style thing. You know, like more anime games had things where you can create your own character and put them in that world.
Sure, but
the Fairy Tail PSP games had them, but we never got those.
But when it comes to Dragon Ball, the thing that irks me is it never moves past the story arcs. It's always
Fighter Z had an original story.
Sure, but it's more or less a rehash of what came before. It's kind of like, okay, we've seen this like a million times.
That was a pretty original story where everybody was at the same power level because of weird things.
Yeah, it's whatever. But anyway, I'm guessing you're super happy Ultraman, Kamen Rider, and Super Sentai are like big business for Bandai Namco.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see whether they'll decide to localize that Kamen Rider game.
With these numbers, it's probably more than likely. Okay. Next up, we have.
I mean, because the numbers would only go up because we're getting easier access to Kamen Rider now in the West.
Sure, but it might not sell
through Shout Factory.
It might not sell.
No, it won't. It might not sell. It might not sell as well.
Yeah,
yeah, you're right about that.
Because the thing with the West is once mindshare goes to one property within a genre, they typically don't have enough room for another thing within the genre.
I thought this was gonna be more about like video games specifically, because I was like, what One Piece video game? I'm like, did World Seeker sell that much?
I don't think probably not, but if they just bunch it up with every other piece of One Piece merchandise,
that's what I'm saying,
it'll probably.
And then there is that mobile game.
Yeah. Anyway, next up we have Capcom considering its Xbox Series X and PS5 game prices. This is by Jenny Lada for Silicon Era. The Xbox Series X and PS5 game prices aren't set in stone yet, given that none have been released or even made available to pre-order yet. However, Capcom talked a little about them during the Q&A session in its first quarter consolidated financial results conference call for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2021. Essentially, it has no set prices in mind, for next-gen games yet, and will be keeping an eye on how things go in the latter half of 2020. Okay, please don't pay attention to 2K games or 505 games, because that's some that's some garbage right there.
Well, I don't know about 505. Oh, it's 505. 505 is the control thing, huh?
Because I have the digital deluxe edition with the season pass, but I still don't. I'm not eligible for the free next gen upgrade.
Yeah, I also have the season pass. I think,
which I think is ridiculous, because the ultimate edition is literally the deluxe digital edition. Like, what gives?
Yeah.
It's so gross. It's so gross. Next up, I mean, I get it. It's a business. You need to make money, but at least for the digital deluxe,
Capcom don't. Don't follow these weird trends of these developers that nobody is liking these moves.
Yeah. Okay, next up we have Xbox Series X is scheduled to release in Japan in November 2020. This is by Kazuma Hashimoto for Silicon Era. Microsoft has announced that the Xbox Series X will release in Japan sometime in November 2020. Japanese publication Famitsu notes that the release of the Xbox One in Japan was 10 months behind the worldwide launch of that particular console, with a Japanese release of the One being on September 4th, 2014. The Xbox One had released in other countries on November 22nd, 2013. That's like a full year apart, almost. This time, Japan will release the same window of release for the Xbox Series X as other regions. This is good news, because the Xbox has not been a crowd favorite in Japan, and
yeah, well, at least no, I guess it never really has.
No, it never has been, and you kind of have to wonder, okay, what can we do to make it like a success in this region that has traditionally not taken the bait. Aesthetically, I think it might be too large for Japanese living rooms, because Japan doesn't really mess with bulky stuff. It has to be streamlined, and if it's portable, that'll be just all the greater. Because
remember how I was talking about how a couple weeks ago how Monster Hunter World didn't do that well in Japan because it's on
home consoles,
and Monster Hunter is primarily like most Monster Hunter games. There are some on Wii U and stuff, but it's primarily on handhelds.
Yeah, it did its best on PSP and 3DS. And probably Switch as well. So yeah, living spaces is also pretty limited in Japan. So maybe
they're pretty small apartments.
Maybe the Series S will be the one that strikes gold in Japan.
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see.
But they also just need Xbox still needs just more Japanese game support, and they're getting there, but it's just not quite. I mean, I guess because we're just starting, so there's not going to be that much yet.
And it's also possible that we aren't really getting reports on the Japanese slate of games for the Xbox Series X release or the Xbox Game Pass regional variant. Because
we do know Yakuza 7.
Yeah, and that's a pretty big get as far as titles go.
the what's it called, Balan Wonderland.
Yeah.
And I think that Phantasy Star Online New Genesis.
Yeah.
I think that's about it. I don't know if Dragon Quest XI S. I guess it wouldn't matter because you'd be able to play it anyway through Game Pass.
Yeah. Oh well.
But yeah, it's just I'm just trying to keep an eye on Japanese support for Xbox.
I hope it turns out well.
Yeah. Competition between companies is good.
Typically.
Usually.
Yeah.
Except when weird things happen.
Okay, next up is all you.
I'm just waiting for like a rocket ship to fly by. I guess it's an airplane, but it was really loud. Our last news story. Persona. No, not Persona. Well, yes, Persona.
Yeah.
Phantasy Star Online 2. I thought the P was PSO. Those are all letters in Persona.
Yeah.
Phantasy Star Online 2 Persona concerts will run until August 17th, 2020. This is by Jenny Latta for Siliconera. A few days ago, the Phantasy Star Online 2 Persona Paradox AC scratch tickets were added to the game, which is a fine event, though it could get a little costly if you want to dress like Persona 3, 4, and 5 characters. However, Phantasy Star Online 2 Persona concerts are the sort of affair anyone can get involved in for free. Sega says they will be running until August 17, 2020, and offer tangible virtual rewards. First, there are two sorts of Phantasy Star Online 2 Persona concerts people can catch, and they're based on Persona 3 Dancing in Moonlight and Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight. The Persona 3 concert has a remix of Mass Destruction from the original JRPG and rhythm game, while the Persona 5 one plays Rivers in the Desert Mito remix. Both performances are interactive, with viewers able to click in time to create combos to change what the performance looks like. Now, if you want the special reward, you don't have to worry so much about a good performance. You just have to show up. Should people watch both of the concerts, they'll get 10 SG and the Morgana suit outfit to wear with the new title. While the official site didn't show the suit, it did appear in the Japanese version of the game in 2018. And then they have different times, so if you want to go check that Siliconera article out for different times for the concerts. That's neat.
Are you gonna be watching?
No.
That's neat.
I need to... I mean, I still need to switch my thing from the Microsoft Store to Steam. Switch my account, and I haven't done that yet. And it's just like, I'm not that into it, because we don't... It's probably not going to transfer to New Genesis.
You know what? As a form of protest for Square Enix being so obtuse with its login, I'll just dive into PSO2.
Just beware of the graphics.
I'll be fine. Okay, having all that said,
yeah, main topic.
Yeah, we're moving into a main topic.
Is the Nintendo 3DS worth it in 2020?
I mean, it feels like Austin Evans already did a video on this, and countless other YouTubers. But you know,
hey, this was your idea.
Yeah, the Switch library is great so far, but there are a lot of things missing from it, like
Monster Hunter Stories.
Yeah, a lot of 3DS games, a lot of Wii U games still left.
Wind Waker.
Yeah, still left in the past, and one of the things that bothers me is that the games that were accessible at one point will not be accessible any longer due to inflation, scarcity, or online stores not being up and running anymore.
Yeah, I meant to ask you, do you know if you can you still...
At this point, I can still buy some games on the 3DS eShop.
All right, cool.
At least the website is giving me that option, so I'm guessing Nintendo did not take away my rights yet.
I think it's not for a while.
I'm hoping. But yeah, so the game in question, or the game I have in mind, is Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology for the Nintendo 3DS, which is a remaster / remake of a Nintendo DS game. And both those platforms are kind of old now, quote unquote.
It can be hard because sometimes it feels like as soon as you purchase an older game, it's like we're remaking it or we're remastering it for this platform. And it's like
and then you're like, okay, but did I just waste my money then? Because I could have just waited. And I'm looking it up now. Radiant Historia on the DS is selling for $25, which isn't so bad. But the remake, Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology, is going for $40 used, not even new copy, used. And on the eShop or Nintendo website, I think it was going for $35. I'm looking it up right now. But the question I want to ask you is, do you think it's worth it to buy a secondhand 3DS? Because I got a pretty good deal going if I were to buy...
What kind of 3DS are you looking at?
Well, I wanted ideally to buy a new 3DS, with the second analog
XL.
stick, or a 2DS XL. Because I'm not that picky about having a 3D functionality in my games.
Half of a lot of games don't even use it, especially at the end there.
So I could get one for about $100 with 5 games, which is a pretty sweet deal. And it still looks good enough physically, so I'm contemplating it. What do you think?
Now, is Nintendo still doing the refurbished 3DS thing?
I wouldn't know, and especially not worth it for me because I can't buy directly from Nintendo, so I'd have to use Amazon.
Oh, okay. So what did you say? You said it was 100 for you?
Yeah, about $100 for a Nintendo 3DS XL.
Yeah, that's about... Well, actually, for some reason, 3DS XL is 120, and then 2DS XL is 100, refurbished on... Or you could just get a piece of toast. You could get the 2DS for $50.
I mean... I could, but...
Prefer the clamshell?
Yeah, I prefer the clamshell. I mean, if I was really desperate, I'd go for the 2DS piece of toast. But we'll see. Let's see.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good deal, but do you plan on playing... do you have older DS games, or... Do you plan on playing other games on it?
I do plan on playing maybe some of the forgotten RPGs on the DS and 3DS.
Because there are a handful of things that probably won't get ported that were on DS, especially.
Yeah, like Infinite Space, the superior version of The World Ends With You,
Phantasy Star Zero.
Yeah, Tales of the Abyss. I mean, there's a lot. There are 2 Dragon Quest games.
Oh god, have you ever seen the intro for Tales of Hearts R?
I think so.
Whatever Tales of Hearts game is on
that's on the Vita.
DS. No, that's the good one. That one's fine. There's a different Tales of Hearts game.
Oh, the old one? The older one?
The one where the cinematic, the opening cinematic looks like a Final Fantasy game.
Oh, wow.
I was like, whoa, what happened here? All the characters have the right outfits, they just all look wrong.
Oh, okay.
Who did this?
Yeah. But yeah, do you think it's worth it to spend $100? $100.
I mean,
I can use for about 4 games on sale or two brand new games.
That's up to you, dude. Because I had a regular 3DS, Oh, actually, I still have my regular 3DS,
Yeah.
and it still works. It's just kind of slow because it was like not a launch one, but it was right after the price drop.
Yeah.
And then I had I tried to order the Majora's Mask 3DS XL back when that was a thing, but of course, the scalpers and stuff ruined that, so I got a black one instead.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up giving that one to my friend, selling it to her, and then just still using my old one. And then I got myself a new 3DS, which I really wish I hadn't switched that, like traded in that one to help me get my Switch, because new 3DSs, the actual small ones, are not easy to find now.
Yeah, I was,
and it felt the best to me.
yeah, I was looking it up on Amazon, and I think scalpers have struck again because they're very expensive.
Yeah. And so, like, because those ones felt the best to me. I really liked how it was finished. And then but now I use a new 2DS XL. Just because, like, it's the most improved model. They're not going to make another new 3DS model.
Yeah.
The only problem with the 2DS XL is the hinges.
Okay.
The hinges are a little loose.
Oof.
So the screen does flop a tiny bit, but not like it's not like it flops all the way back and forth. It just kind of jiggles a little bit, and that can be annoying. But if you're playing RPGs and you're like gonna be in the same position, it's pretty much fine.
Yeah, I won't be moving around too much.
It's just a little annoying. I'm sure there's a way to tighten it too. There's probably some thing you can do.
Yeah, but the thing that gets me is I'm gonna be investing in an older platform just for one game really, and I kind of have to question myself, like, am I insane for doing that?
I'd say do more research on what games you want to play. Like, if you need more reasons, yeah, definitely do more research on what you want to play, the prices of things, because some DS games are insanely cheap.
No, that's true. I probably do it only for the RPGs or games that are most likely not heading to Switch anytime soon, like Radiant Historia.
Glory of Heracles.
Yeah, maybe. or the Lunar games on DS. Like,
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Like, I don't know.
Digimon World Dawn and Dusk.
Yeah.
Those are some good. That's my recommendation. Those are good.
Or
games.
like the Yokai Watch games, because I haven't really played any of those.
Those Fossil Fighters. Well, the first two Fossil Fighters. Spectrobes.
Yeah.
Yes, I am listing Mon games.
Yeah, I know. But the thing that
Pokemon Ranger.
The thing that gets
that's
me.
Not technical.
The thing that gets me is PS5 and Xbox Series XS are making their way to store shelves soon.
Yeah, so that's like it's kind of a weird time.
It's a very weird time, and I still have my Switch. It's still working fine. I still have a lot of games.
Although people
to play.
are talking about whether those consoles will end up getting delayed in the end after all because of certain factors.
Yeah, we'll see about that, but
because like there was the Halo Infinite delay, and then
yeah, but that's more the game itself. Not
there's just like it's weird because this year it seems like this is like the first time, and I said this before on the podcast, that they're releasing the same year. Usually there's like a 1 year gap.
It's either a
1 year,
a year or a few months.
Yeah, a year or like half a year or something. Yeah. So it's just it's kind of interesting to see them both kind of rush to the finish line, and I'm like, I don't think, especially right now, I don't know if this is the best idea.
And I don't think it's so much rushing to the finish line as it already just being time for the console refresh.
But anyways, yeah, getting an older thing. I mean, you're talking to a guy who got the analog pocket, so
yeah. I mean,
but I already have games for that. Like, I had games already,
and you can't.
So I'm not buying any new.
I'd love to get an analog pocket, but you can't play 3DS games on it. So
yeah, I don't think we have. We're not that far in technology yet.
So I don't know. I'm still mulling it over. I really want Radiant Historia. I don't know why this game specifically, but it's an Atlas game. That's one.
I mean, yeah. So definitely, my recommendation is, and this is what I do for some stuff. usually for new game releases that I want every year. List out. I'd say make like a Google Doc or a Word document. Or something. List out the games you want, the prices, the pros and cons. I know that's a lot of extra work, but like, if you need help deciding stuff, you should put in the work.
No,
I think
I more or less know all of that already in my head. It's just I need something to either push me or pull me.
Writing it down might help.
It might.
That's what I'm saying.
It might. We'll see about that.
Because that always helps me.
I'll think about it. But yeah, that's...
Yeah, I don't know if I can... It's hard, because I love handheld systems. I haven't played my 3DS since the last time I played Dragon Quest VIII, which was a couple months ago. And I have like a backlog on there too. It's just 3DS is kind of... It sometimes feels weird to play.
Yeah. I mean...
But then other times it's great.
Financially speaking, it's not the wisest decision because I'd be spending money on something that's outdated just to experience one thing, while I could invest that money in other things. Like I do need a new phone eventually, and I should probably build a gaming PC one of these days.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much to factor into these decisions, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay, I guess that's the gist of it.
If you want to help Jason decide whether he should get a Nintendo 3DS in 2020, leave a reply in the comments below.
Or we'll set up a poll in the tweet.
On the Twitter, yeah, we can set up a poll on the Twitter too.
Should I get a 3DS just to play this one game? Or
we'll do that right after the podcast
goes live.
This episode releases. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Well, I guess that's been it for this week then.
Should we get a PSP in 2020? No, because the batteries are expanding.
No PSP. No. Anyway, this has been it. Thank you for listening to us. This has been Errol.
What about an Ouya?
This has been Jason. And we'll see you folks next week.
Stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask, all that stuff.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.